What's good, everyone? Welcome back to the lab. For those of you guys who are new here, my name is Andy Toe, and today I am going to be your instructor for Final Cut Pro 12. Alright, you guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go into the App Store and download Final Cut Pro. If you're already grandfathered in, you get Final Cut Pro 12 as a free update. And then we are welcomed with this interface, library here, all your media goes here, timeline project goes here, inspector is here, and this is your viewer. And then we are going to get introduced with opening a library. We're going to preload my Lunar New Year demo project. And for those of you guys who want to follow along, I'm going to provide a link in the description where you can download it for free. Once you download the Lunar New Year project, it's going to look like this. We're going to double click it. We'll drop it into our library. All right, so the next thing we have is this Andy2 keyboard command set. All you need to do is download this, provided in the description. Go back into Final Cut Pro in the top left, go to command sets, import Andy2 command set, successfully import it, change it to Andy2 keyboard. And there's a couple of hotkeys that I really love that I'm going to explain later in this video. So pretty much we're going to build this timeline out from scratch. As you notice, as we play back, we do have some sound. So we could turn the audio skimming off by clicking here, or you can hit S as a hotkey.
I don't remember the last time I got to celebrate Lunar New Year in the Bay.
All right, so if we're building this out from scratch, the first thing that we need to do is create a new project, or you could do the hotkeys Command plus N. We're going to make this a custom setting. We're going to make this 4K. We're also just going to name this Lunar New Year. You can name it whatever you like. And the color space was filmed in HDR, but more than likely you'd be filming in Rec 709. And I'm going to hit OK. Alright, you guys, so for the first shot, we're starting off with the Golden Gate Bridge shot. So you can simply drag and drop the video, or you can hit E to add it to the timeline. And if you hit E again, it adds it to the end. I'll do it a couple more times. E is the first hotkey you kind of just want to remember. And if we go over here and we look at our demo project, we can know that it was retimed. So you hit Command and R, but you can see that it got slowed down to 50%. For us, what we're going to do is we're going to hit this retimer, and then we're going to hit automatic speed. So what I did was I filmed in 4K at 60 frames, and this is a 24 frame timeline, and it's going to automatically retime it without having to do any math. So if I hit Command Z, bring it back to 100. With the Andy2 keyboard, I set it to Control, Option, and C so that it automatically retimes it for you. So you don't have to go into here, click in, hit automatic speed or the custom speed and try to do the math. It can automatically do it for you. So if I hit Command Z to just bring it back, go back in, add this clip to the timeline with E, boom, highlight the clip, Control Option C automatically times it out for us. The next thing that we're going to add, it looks like the music, which is the yin and yang soundtrack, which is here. We could drag it in, or I could introduce a new hotkey, which is Q, which is adding a connected clip. So if you add a connected clip, depending on where your playhead is, so just say I set it here and I hit Q, it'll add it to wherever the playhead is. So here, Q, here, Q. But what we want to do is we want to add it to the very beginning. So we just want to go to the beginning and hit Q. Now that we know it's all retimed, there's also like a small gap in the beginning. So if you want to do that, you can simply just go to the beginning or end of the playhead, wherever you want. And the hotkey is Option W, just to add a gap. So if I go here, Option W. I'll delete this one. And then referencing the demo project, there's a transition here, a cross dissolve transition. So if we go over here into our transitions, you'll see that cross dissolve is here, but there's also a hotkey. If you click and you go Command T, it's going to tell us we don't have enough media and it'll overlap, and that's okay. And then we have the beginning of our video. We also want to mute this, so you can simply drag up and down to go, bring the dBs up or bring it down. Or you could do the hotkey of Control L, and then this is going to light up, and you can hit -99. And you could do this for multiple clips too. Just say I had 3 of these clips and I wanted to mute all of them. Command click, select all, and then Control L -99. Boom. Alright, so I'm going to delete these 2. And notice that this is blue. We could change this to a soundtrack by right clicking, go to audio rows, make this music. That looks pretty good. I know that the clip ends here, so we're just gonna stop it just about there. Next thing we have is our sound effect, Night Winds. Night Winds lives up here. The exact spot that we're looking for is probably just the beginning and ending of the clip. Let's go back to our main timeline. Let's get this beginning by scrubbing, hitting I, hitting Q to add it as a connected clip, kind of dragging it out, using this slider to transition it out. You can do it to the front or the back. And then if you click the clip and you right click it, you can assign it as an effect. So it has that sort of teal blue. All right, next thing we have is the voiceover. These voiceovers are already preloaded into the event. If you wanted to do your own voiceovers, you just go to help, just type in voice, and then the voice recorder will pop up. Normally it will show up like this. You can rename it to the project. And then if you hit the advanced button, you could select the microphones that you have access to. And then once you do a voiceover, testing voiceover, then it'll go straight into the timeline. Testing voiceover. But the voiceover that we already used was the voiceover 1, and we're going to just drag and drop that in.
I don't remember the last time I got to celebrate Lunar New Year in the Bay, but I'm glad I'm finally home.
The next thing that we added was titles, and we are going to recreate these titles. So it looks like we went Helvetica, bold, with the 50 size font. And I'm just gonna copy and paste this so we don't have to do it twice. To add a text title, you could go up here to the top left, scrub down to titles, basic text, and you can simply drag and drop. Or the hotkey is you could go in and you can hit Control and T and it'll create a basic title. And then we're just going to Command V to paste what we had copied, change this over to bold, and we'll change this font to 50. So you can just drag the text title and bring it down. And this looks about right. So if you want to make a copy of your text, hold Option, click, drag, and then we're going to change this to Lunar New Year in the Bay. Lunar New Year in the Bay. I remember last time I got to celebrate here. Lunar New Year in the Bay. Finally home. So you also notice that there is some background noise happening with my voiceover. So if you click into the voiceover and you go over here to voice isolation, I'll let you hear it with and without.
I don't remember the last time I got to celebrate Lunar New Year in the Bay.
So we're just gonna go in here, replay it, but this time we're going to hit the voice isolation, and then let's hear it now.
I don't remember the last time I got to celebrate Lunar New Year in the Bay, but I'm glad I'm finally home.
Okay, so that's the first portion of the video. All right, just want to take a moment to take a quick break. With Final Cut Pro 12, there have been a good handful of new features that have been added. So we can go into our demo project, edit everything bar for bar, but what I want to do is kind of remix it a little bit and introduce the new feature, beat detection. So if we go into our timeline, in order to enable beat detection, you can right click and right here it'll say beat detection, and it'll give you a couple of seconds, and now we could cut accordingly to the beat, which I think is really cool. Let's drop down to Smart Collection and just look for only the videos, and let's drop these clips for B-roll and this New Year sign, and let's hit E to add it to the timeline in no particular order. Let's drag these to the beat. I used to be pretty good at cutting to the beat until I discovered beat detection, and I actually realized I'm not as good as I thought it was, which was pretty humbling. For this shot, I want to do something a little more interesting, so let's speed it up. You can do that by going to this retimer, hitting fast, and going to 4x, or we could go into our hotkeys and we could go Control Option and X, and that speeds it up to 400%. And actually we might need to go even a little bit faster, so we could do 8x, or if we go into our hotkeys, Control Option Z. I'm just going to turn the background sounds off. That's pretty good. Still cutting to the beat. I kind of want this part, this as well, and then probably just this. So we'll go for like 2 beats. And I'm just gonna turn the sound off and just see what it looks like. Oh, I missed a beat. And then we just micro adjust accordingly. So if I do miss the beat, I could easily just retrace my steps. So let's just pick up where we left off. That looks pretty good to me. All right, you guys, so the next thing we're going to talk about is visual intelligence. So visual intelligence, first let's turn off this beat detection. If we try to go into our library and look something up, like red, you're probably going to notice that it might not work at first. So to fix that, we're going to highlight all of our clips. We're going to right click, and then we are going to hit analyze and fix. And then we're just going to make sure that this visual search is checked on. So you want to give it a second to render out and work its magic. And now if we search in something like red, all things that are red will sort of pop up. If we look up yellow, it'll detect the yellow. Even if we look up bridge, all of our bridge shots will show up. Let's see if we look up purple. It'll detect that this was actually named Purple Dragon. It also was able to visually search for the purple transition as well. All right, you guys, so the next feature is Transcript Search. So we could quickly search through spoken dialogue in our media and pinpoint words and phrases just by simply typing. I'm just going to type in celebrate. And boom, we got.
Remember the last time I got to celebrate, Luke?
That's one.
It's a time to reflect and celebrate a year of your hard work.
That's crazy. I think somewhere in the near future, it'll be able to pretty much target pinpoints. But the fact that I could just simply type in a word and the software is using AI to quickly analyze and find clips for me just speeds up the process and workflow. Let's go for another word. Maybe the Bay. Found it as well, and it actually recognized that the Bay Bridge is a part of the Bay, which is amazing. So for me as a director and also up and coming screenwriter, I can foresee myself expediting the video editing process just by running through script, looking for a specific moment, punching it into the search, and being able to just like grab a moment and not have to wonder like where it is. This is an hour's worth of dialogue, and to be able to efficiently create something like a trailer without having to do the heavy lifting is going to speed up my workflow exponentially. All right, you guys, so the next thing I want to do is a hotkeys sort of crash course, like a speed round. So I just went into the Apple website and looked at some of the hotkeys. It's a lot of hotkeys. And I wrote down some of the ones that I thought was probably the most useful in my editing scenario. All right, you guys, so if we want to add a clip to the timeline again, I went over this in the beginning. Hit E to append to the timeline, and it just adds to the end of the clip. If you want to do an insert edit, you just hit W, and it'll insert wherever the playhead is, W. And then if you want to add a connected clip that isn't connected to the timeline, you just hit Q. All right, so you go anywhere, hit Q. All right, next thing is a micro adjustment. Just say you only want to edit 1 frame. If you want to do it going to the right, you'll hit the period. Let me lift this from the storyline so you guys could actually see what's happening. Or you could go to the tail end and hit comma, which gets 1 frame. If you hold shift and bring it back, it goes 10 frames. If you hold shift and hit period, it'll cut off 10 frames. Shift and comma, you'll cut off 10 frames, and you could go forward as well. 10 frames. This is really good for your micro adjustments. Okay, next thing is the position tool, so P. So for the position tool, once you hit P, you can pretty much move this along the timeline and place it anywhere. You can place it back in. You can place different clips. And I like this tool for making precision edits. We also have the slip tool, which is T. So if I shorten this clip and I want the clip to begin at a certain place and end at a certain place, I could use the slip tool and slip this edit. Next thing is the blade tool, B. You can make precise cuts. Just say I want to cut that part, and I want to cut this part, and I want to hit delete. And then if I want to cut and also leave a gap, I can hold shift and hit delete. So if I cut this part and I only want to keep this part, you can hold shift and hit delete. Next thing is a marker. So just say you want to put a marker on your clip. Just say we went here, you hit M, and then if you double click the marker, you can name it. You can also change the duration of a clip, highlighting a clip, hitting Control D, and then just say you'll want half a second, it'll be 12 frames. Or if you want 1 whole second, it'll be 1 period, enter, and that's 24 frames per second. Now you can add something called a secondary storyline. Just say this was the storyline you had going. Secondary storyline could be like an arrangement of B-roll. So let's just add these clips right here, 4 of these clips. No particular order. First, I want to highlight these clips. I want to hit Command G to turn it into a secondary storyline. You can move it around the timeline as so. If I want, I can make them all a certain duration. So Control D, and I'm going to do, let's say 12 frames. And now they're all 12 frames, and then we could turn the music off, 99, and then it looks something like this. Oh, this is pretty loud. Let's lower this a little bit. Then if you wanted to expand the audio, just say we wanted to expand this audio into this clip. Let's mute this clip first. And then all you need to hit is Control Option S. And then there's not enough audio to actually expand, so we could just drag this in, fade it out. You could do the hotkey of Control Option S, or you could just double click and it'll expand itself. If you want to completely detach the audio clip, you can hit Control Shift S, and now the audio is completely disconnected. So if we wanted to just make this slight adjustment just to let it blend in a little bit, then we can hear the sound before it comes. Another hotkey that I like to use is snapping. So this is triggered by N. So with it off, you won't be able to just get precision edits. But if I turn it on, hit N, you could be super precise. All right, for this next portion, we're going to do a basic color adjustment. So we're just going to grab this Golden Gate Bridge clip, and you could go into your effects and grab this color board, add it to your clip, click here, and then it'll open up. Or you could go to the clip and hit Command 6. It's pretty much the same thing. Here, Command 6. A couple of different adjustments that you can make. We have a global slider. We have something to adjust the shadows, midtones, and highlights. What I want to do here, the goal that we want to accomplish, is we want to make the reds kind of pop a little more. So let's go into the saturation and let's just bring the midtones up slightly. And you can see the before and after. We just get a little pop of color, more vibrancy. And then if we go into our exposure, the shot is pretty much exposed perfectly, but if we go into our shadows and bring it down a little bit, bring the highlights down, go into our midtones, see when I bring it down and kind of get a little bit more detail in our image. But that looks pretty good to me. Before, after. Also, if we delete that color board, we start from scratch and we hit Command 6, we get brought to the default color adjustments. So here, we could just add some saturation, bring the blacks down a little bit, bring the highlights down a little bit, brightness down. And you can also see the before and after. We can also mess with the warmth, make the image a little warmer, kind of purple skies in the highlight, and then before and after. All right, next I wanted to get a little fancy and create a magnetic mask with some text in the back. And I'll make this super simple for you guys. First, we're going to create a text so that we have the vision intact of what kind of text we want to see in the background. So let's just write Lunar New Year. Let's make it Helvetica, bold, slightly larger. And we want it to live dead center. All right, next we're going to make a copy of this. Put the text in the middle. And then we're going to just drag or double click this magnetic mask onto our subject. So it's already detecting me. If I click here and click on Jalen, her head, my head, and we'll hold Option, put a red dot in the middle that separates us. Do a couple more here just to get the details, and then I'm going to not include this. Then I'm going to zoom back out, and then I'm going to hit Analyze. So now if I hit Done, this should look pretty clean. Next, I wanted to do some sound effects, do a little sound design with you guys. If you go here into the top left, you have access to a full library of sound effects. So this is our original clip. I'm just gonna mute this, hit Control L, -99, and maybe we could find wind. So there's a couple different wind options, 1 through 9. Four sounds kind of subtle. Let's drag that in. Let's cut this here. And maybe there's a foghorn. I'm not sure if there is. Let's look. Oh, there is. Perfect. So let's drag this in. We probably don't want to make it too loud. Let's make it like -30, just like subtle, as if it's far away. Well, now we can't really hear it. Let's maybe bring it up +10. So Control L +10. Let's see. I like that. All right, you guys, for text and titles, I went ahead and pre-selected a couple that I would use in a real case scenario. First one just being the basic text. This is located in basic text over here. Second one was the text block. I thought that was a pretty good one. I just wanted to create something that I'd actually use in the real case scenario. This is called a text block, and when I type, it fills the space. The essential time code located here. I think this one was great, just in case you want to license your clips. You want to just slap this overlay on there. And then as for the generators, the ones that I really liked, first one was the counting one in elements. How it could pretty much start from 0 to 100, and then you could switch out, customize over here in the inspector. Second one is just basic time code. I really like this one. And then the countdown, this is built in. You could download off the internet, but the fact that it's built into Final Cut. And then the custom solids, you could change the colors. If you want to overlay something, you could switch this from black to white. And that's pretty much essential. So this whole video was powered by the 14-inch M5 MacBook Pro. As for the specs, we went with 14-inch, space black, nano texture screen, M5 chip, 32 gigabytes of memory, 4 terabytes of storage, Final Cut Pro pre-installed, no trade-in, with AppleCare, totaling at $36.48. Comes with a USB-C MagSafe 3 cable, 70-watt USB-C power adapter, polishing cloth. It weighs in at 3.4 pounds. The 14-inch MacBook Pro is designed to reduce environmental impact. This M5 MacBook is actually made with 45% recycled content. It has a liquid Retina XDR display. It also has a Force Touch trackpad. I've been using the nano texture display for a couple months now and can confirm it is the better option for me personally. It has 3 Thunderbolt 4 USB-C ports, a MagSafe 3 port, 3.5mm headphone jack, HDMI port, and an SD card slot. After spending some time with the MacBook Pro, I actually got to catch up with Emmy Award winner Bill Davis to nerd out on Apple Creator Studio, specifically Final Cut Pro. And I got to tell him, Final Cut Pro has literally changed my life.
These tools are really designed to reduce the work and improve the flow. so that you can really get to that place where you're sort of in the zone.
Before we wrap, I just want to say Final Cut Pro is only one piece of what Apple Creator Studio offers. The full studio includes Final Cut Pro, Logic Pro, Motion, Compressor, and Pixelmator Pro, all bundled together for $12.99 a month. And for students, it's $29.99 a year. That's kind of wild when you think about the level of tools you're getting access to. But that pretty much wraps up my video. And surprisingly, this is my very first editing focused video. If you made it through all of this, I appreciate you. I hope you found something useful, maybe even inspiring. Until next time.